What is language? Hi, I'm John. Welcome to Philosopher's Corner. What is language? Language, by definition, is any system used to communicate. It can include verbal utterances, written words, codings, body languages, emotions, anything that's used to communicate between beings is language, by definition. So let's get into it, right? Like what is language? So those are some of the technical parameters. Anything that can be used to communicate between people, between beings, between systems, anything, symbols, gestures, words, whatever, right? Like we're used to thinking like, oh, language, and you think, oh, French, or oh, Spanish, or whatever. But it's so much more than that. Because language includes everything. Now, I like to do a simplification thought exercise when it comes to language, and I've done this. I always wondered about, etymology of like how did it begin? How did language begin, right? Because I think it's helpful philosophically to go to an origin point for things, right? And then that'll progress the inquiry or the insight into whatever the subject is, because you'll either get to the origin of the particular thing, or its origin might be a dimensional gate into deeper dive or other dimensions or other origins. I mean, of course, it's in philosophy it always goes back to like the origin of origins, but in this particular case with language, what I like to do as a thought exercise is imagine that I'm in caveman era, right? I'm just walking around and I'm still this intelligent, debatable level, right? But I'm still this intelligent, and I just happen to be born in the caveman era, and before the acknowledgement of language. And I'm one of those beings that's being born into a world where these primal functions are beginning to be developed. And I'm thinking like, okay, I'm tripping, I'm living, I'm like understanding that I'm engaged in this reality that's around me, I'm in it, it has interactive properties, and I'm starting to internally devise perceptions on how to interact with the reality. And then I notice like there's other people around me. And at some point, existentially, I go, oh, probably for coordination of survival, but maybe for other reasons. I get the other person realize, oh man, there's other people in this world with me. They're also inside themselves, like doing what I'm doing over there. So it's like, how do I reach out to them? Like all of a sudden I realize, oh, I want to let them know that I'm also here and that I recognize they're there. Or I want to find out how do they know how to like survive in this reality, or draw their attention to something maybe I know, right? But prior to language, all of these intents and feelings that are inside me, I'm not sure what to do with them. They're probably super aggravating. Like, like it's like I want to like get this concept. I was like, still at that point, I'm still a Homo sapien, right? I'm still formulating sophisticated visions and overlays and all the things we do as human beings. Just because born pre certain evolutions doesn't mean you don't still have complex vision in the world and a whole host of sophisticated inner emotions and desires and whatever, right? And so, but the language hasn't been developed, so there's this energy is welling up, and it's like, okay, how do I communicate this to other people? And you start to think like, oh yeah, like body language, hand signals, this, that, like grunts, like pointing things, like, oh, my heart hurts, like, oh, like first emotional therapy for cavemen, just like, oh, and it's like, right, and then eventually go there, oh, there, right, and then everybody's like, oh yeah, it's like this new word, there, just say there, and you point your finger, and then people know they know to look there. And whatever, it could be anything. There, the hikey, whatever. It's totally arbitrary, right? I mean, until it isn't. But in the fundamentals, seems rather arbitrary. You're just like, okay, what's the thing people can remember? Let's make a catchy word, right? First guy's trying to write hit words. And so I put myself in the primal mode. And then I start to see, okay, look, any expression I'm trying to get across is a language. Because what first thing was like, oh, dude, start talking in numbers. Oh, dude, no, it's a complex thing. I got like all these numbers, right? And you start talking in math. We take it for granted that words have these overlays on meanings. Like there's an object in reality, and we smack a word on it, and that covers the object, and we call that English or French or Japanese or whatever. We easily just like physics, math does the same thing. They throw an equation on an object or a piece of matter, and they go, oh, well, math describes that, right? So the language of that, and then there's symbols derived from all these different overlays of the languages on the objects, right? And that's in the primal level of language. It was just labeling things, making things, having referential codes, defining the basics, right? And then, obviously, because it's human beings and, well, other animals as well, of course, because like it's clear that animals have languages. Birds sing to each other. Dolphins have freaking telepathic sonar. Everybody got something, and it's also across the full thing too, right? Nature, it's obvious that plumage and scales and armor and like all the development of the physical body is a language in and of itself. It's a language of evolution. It's the language of the jungle, of nature, to communicate or not communicate. You can have camouflage which says "Don't find me," or you could be like really loud, like a bird of paradise, and it's like, "Hey, let's mate." Or you could be, famously insects that are poisonous have, warning colors, all sorts of things, right? And they all apply to humans, of course, too. I'm wearing this shirt. It's a, it's like a universe, starry universe shirt because I'm being philosopher guy. So I'm allowing the feeling and emotion of the universe to be expressed in this way, right? And that way, any form of communication, any of the systems or languages, art's a language, math is a language, physics is a language, mathematics is a language, philosophy is a language, the law is its own language, language like vocal language is a language, sign language, that doesn't, yes, hopefully I learned that much, I think, right? Thumbs up means good. I mean, emojis are a language, hieroglyphs are a language. You get what I'm saying, right? Everything. And then when you look at anything from a certain perspective and people understanding it, then other things become languages. Like sports can become their own language through like their physicality, or dancing is a language, or I mean, you get the idea. This is basically anything that communicates, if it's done consistently enough with an understood set of rules, and it can convey concepts, information, and energy and emotions. Thoughts and emotions really is what it boils down to. Thoughts and emotions. If the language can convey thoughts and emotions out to you, then it's a language. And these are exceptionally valuable in the reality because they allow us to communicate with other beings. Without language, there's just a lot of particles in the world that are very isolated. Just go, oh, I'm stuck in this experience. Like, what's going on? Wish I had some way to communicate with other things in the experience. And that's where language comes in. Because language is a system that allows you to do it. Now, where does language lead us to? Language leads us into, building networks, essentially, right? Because anything you can communicate with is part of your network. And the network is what ends up creating social orders. And ultimately, it leads to creating consciousnesses. And, group conscience or a consciousness is only achievable through language, right? The language of meditation, the language of group talk, the language of organized social orders, the language of disorganized social orders, the language of the depths, the languages of metaphysics, of quantum mechanics, of vibration. Like meditating and channeling energy from the universe is a language. It's a language between the practitioner and the reality itself. It's a vibrational language. And vibration, energy, and frequency are the base language of the universe. Pretty much that's where everybody meets in the middle from the different disciplines when they go up the ladder of communication. Because they'll go, oh, it goes from words to singing, to music, or to math, to music, and then really just from music, just a vibration, and then you're back at the beginning of Genesis. The beginning, there's a word, and really that's just the vibrations, energy and frequency, thought and emotion. And the more clearly we can have communication that have thought and emotion, and we have give and take, and we're existing, that's kind of the ultimate language. Because then it's like when someone comes up to you, if they don't know your native language really well, but they're trying and they have a good vibe and a good thought and emotion, right? You can work with them on the, whatever. So this guy's trying to tell me something, or this lady's trying to tell me something. It's okay that they're not nailing the vernacular. They're not hitting all the words just right, because you can feel that they're coming to you. And conversely, if somebody can come up to you speaking the highest form of the language that the Queen's English, or Hochdeutsch, or whatever, and they roll in, and if they have bad emotion, bad attitude, you could care less what they're saying, really, right? So thoughts and emotions. That's the base level to enter into language, with the knowledge that language is any of these different ways. So also, not philosophy, but a little life advice. If your primary mode of language of communication is not in one of the top 3 traditional academic areas of speech, writing, and math, I'd say it was basically the top 3. It falls out into different areas, like you're a really good computer programmer, or you're an artist, or you're a welder, or how to talk to dogs. There's a million other things you can do in language that are amazing and mind-blowing. But if you do have trouble with the first 3 for whatever reason, don't be disheartened. It doesn't mean you're unvaluable, or in many ways it could be fantastic hard focus by the universe to get you into your real gifts. Anyway, language. It's a system of communication. It's absolutely essential for evolution in the world, for the world to communicate with itself and outside of itself, and for us to not go insane in a solipsistic existence in a beautiful infinite world. So, what is language? Hopefully that helps. Thanks for spending time with me down here at Philosopher's Corner. As always, it's a pleasure to talk with you guys. Have a great day.